This morning in our continuing holiday series, The Perfect Gift, Holiday Tipping, we are joined by Jodi R.R. Smith, president of Manners Smith Etiquette Consulting. You should probably be here every day. We have so many questions about these kinds of things. We're so ill-mannered. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
There's such a list when you stop to think about it of how many people are out there who you may not be thinking about, but they sure are thinking maybe they feel like they're owed something. I just want to put a list of some of the people up who are out there who we ought to be, be mindful of. Babysitters, doormen, house cleaners, garbage person, personal groomers. There's more and more and more. Especially in a time like this when cash seems to be short for people. You still going to tip these folks?
You should still be tipping these folks. What happens is you should be thinking all during the year about your end of year tipping budget. And if you find you get to the end of the year and your budget is getting a little bit tight, maybe you're overspending during the year, which is a little different from people who've been laid off or who don't have their mortgages and their houses anymore. If you're in financial dire straits, you need to acknowledge the fact that ordinarily you would tip these people so they don't feel that you're being a little bit tight or greedy. And so what you're going to do is write them a holiday card and say, ordinarily, I would be tipping you, as you're probably aware, I've recently been laid off. And then when you can tip, you do want to tip. That's
really good advice. Let's go through some of these categories of people. And this is you have some guidelines for how much you think you ought to tip. Let us start with the babysitter. What do you think is a good tip for a babysitter?
For a babysitter, this is a night out. What you're going to do is tip usually what you would do for 2 nights out. If this is a nanny or an au pair, it's going to be 1 week's salary plus. If they've been with you for 10 years, it should be a lot more than 1 week's salary.
There you go. Doorman. This is a tough because you have doormen who only work at night. Some are there in the day. Some are really helpful. Some are not so helpful. What do you do for that?
The doorman can range anywhere from $20 to $100. Some buildings actually pool the tips. You should be very aware that where you live in New York City, you're probably going to be tipping well in excess of $100 for your doorman. My cousin who lives in Iowa is going to be tipping a lot less. This is dependent upon where you live, geographic region, and your personal budget.
Yeah, let's go. Keep going down the list. We have more up on our list here, including the house cleaners. Somebody who comes in once or twice a week, does a little tidying up around the house. How much for that?
Usually 1 week's salary. If they do a really good job for you, then a little bit more. A good housekeeper is really hard to find.
Priceless, actually. Garbage person?
Your garbage guys and gals, it depends on whether you're city or contractor. If it's a city thing, a lot of times you can't tip them, but you do want to send a fruit basket, something to the office. However, if it's
because you're not supposed to tip a mail carrier.
Yeah, mail carriers, a gift equivalent to $20, so a $20 Dunkin' Donut gift card. No cash, they're federal employees.
Wow, Dunkin' Donut gift card. That's a pretty good idea. Now, personal groom is somebody who, in my case, it wouldn't be frequent haircuts, but somebody who requires serious grooming, hair grooming.
Yes.
Don't you usually tip those people when you get it done?
What happens is you should be tipping 10 to 15% every time you go. And then providing they're not the owner of the salon, you tip them the equivalent of one service at the end. So in December, instead of giving my 10 to 15%, I tip the amount that I would pay them.
All right, here's the most important one of all, newspaper. If the newspaper is on the porch, is it different than if you have to walk 30 yards out in the yard to get the paper?
If it's in the puddle or in the bushes, yes, absolutely.
Right.
I actually like to tip the newspaper people on the 4th of July and then again at the end of the year because sometimes they change over very quickly. But these are people that usually get missed because we don't see them. They're up at the crack of dawn. You probably see them, but the rest of the world, we don't necessarily see them. And do make sure to tip the newspaper people.
All right, terrific. Jodi R.R. Smith, thank you very much for your good advice this morning.